First family. Brother Maddox, just accept you are first family. And okay, we're going to bring up our speaker, but first I want our brother or sister who owns the blue Jeep, CY666F, to just step out quietly and move your Jeep. Is that your brother? Is that your brother, Gordon? Okay. In case it wasn't Brother Gordon, it's the blue Jeep, CY666F. Please move your Jeep. And first world family, we're very, very pleased this evening to bring before you our Reverend, our informant, our intellectual giant in person, Reverend Ishakamusa Barashango. And for the record, I'm going to read part of his bio. As you know, our tapes go throughout the country. As co-founder and creative director of the Fourth Dynasty Publishing Company of Silver Springs, Maryland, he has catapulted to the vanguard of scholarly research on matters of vital importance to Africans at home and abroad. This entrepreneurial venture has been inspired by a thirst for liberation instead of a profit motivation. His academic credentials are equally impressive. He successfully completed his undergraduate education at Oakwood College in Huntsville, Alabama. His pursuit of a master's occurred at Northeastern Seminary in Maryland. His honorary doctorates are from the Sankore Institute of Texas Southern Christian and the College of Doctors of the New African University Network System. I want my African brothers and sisters to please stand now and give a United African Movement welcome to Reverend Ishakamusa Barashango.
Get a drummer some. Take away some. And give yourself some. Giving all honor and praise to the Mother, Father, Energy in the universe, revealed to all and known by many names, and especially to our positive African ancestors, whose shoulders we stand upon, and particularly those who put their life on the line, and more often, those who actually gave their lives for us, the most precious blood ever shed in the history of humanity, the blood shed by those for the cause of African liberation. And that is the only blood that I glory in, or see any power in, and I'm thankful for all of them. And I say in the words of the last poets to their honor, blessed are those who struggle. Y'all know it, help me out. Oppression is worse than the grave. It is better to live and die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. And so, my brothers and sisters, I am happy and honored to stand before you in that great tradition. I'm happy and honored to be here in a place whose inspiration and guidance has kept this going for so long. United African Movement, Attorney Alton Maddox, and all who work with him. If there ever was a person who walked and lived and manifested that concept that before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, it is certainly Attorney Alton Maddox. He is a soldier that has respected the world over wherever I travel. They respect him and what he stands for and what he knows. And I know when he say that, he's just not talking, but he lives that and he's about that. And I'm glad to serve in this day and time, in this period of our wondrous story as African people. I'm glad to serve on the planet at the same time that Brother Alton is serving. I'm very happy to do that. Most unfortunate is that we're not able to get the time I'd like to get with him where we can just sit down and talk sometime. But I guess we might have to wait till we get on the other side of the Nile River in the land of the blessed. We'll have plenty of time to talk then. But right now we're so busy about the business of liberation, the most sacred business on the planet. Brothers and sisters, I am going to get right down into my topic for the night. I usually stop and do an African-centered black nationalist commercial, but you're familiar with the fact that I have tapes back there on the table, and I know you will support. You have supported, and I know you will, so I don't have to belabor that. Let me get right down to our topic for tonight. As always, the ancestors and the Creator has given me a lot of material. I know I won't be able to cover it all tonight, but we're going to do the best we can. I'm going to take my time. Hopefully we'll have some time left for question and answer, but we will let the Spirit determine that. The title of our topic this evening that I have been privileged to present to you is Some African-Centered Historical Realities About God, the Bible, religion, the devil, death, and resurrection. Now, I know I ain't gonna hit all that tonight. You're gonna have to get a lot of it on tape. But you know I'm gonna do as much as I can. But we're talking about African-centered historical reality. In fact, I don't even like the word history because it's his story and his story is a lie. Our story is the word. The oldest story on the planet. The oldest story and the greatest story ever told is the story of African people. And we must approach all things from an African-centered reality. Not what we think it is, not what we imagine it to be, not what we would like for it to be, not what we fantasize about it, but what it is. Tell it like it is. That's a very spiritual thing amongst African people. What it is. That's a heavy question. What it is. I mean, just think about that. Because the more you think about what it is, the more your consciousness opens up. The more light comes through to you. So even in our foolish condition, we are speaking heavy spiritual truth because we can't help it because it's embodied in the souls of African people. No matter where we are, what condition we are in, we are a divine people, even when we are not fully aware of that divinity. So we're talking about reality tonight. I am not dealing with belief. I used to try to be diplomatic. I have a war. I'm at war with religion. All of them. I understand is that some people's religious sensitivities have been so offended they got to walking out on scholars. You can walk out on me or you want to, but you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. You cannot stop the fact that the ancestors and the spirits are calling you to wake up and take notice. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to convert you into anything. I just want you to use your mind and think. And remember that everything that has been taught to you by invaders, captors, and foreigners, I don't care what the name of it is or how holy they say it is a lie. And it's twisted and corrupted and degenerated. I don't care what book they put it in. I don't care how they solemnize it. I don't care what kind of ritualistic stuff they have going on with it. It is not real. And the key to African growth and survival, as Dr. John Henry Clark used to say, peace be upon him, that great giant among scholars, is we have to become politically mature and aware at all times of reality. We have to get beyond our political naivete, and religion keeps us bound in political naivete. You mean all of them? Yes, all of them. Especially those that somebody had to bring with a gun at gunpoint or at sword point. Those are the first ones I turn on. If you had to intimidate me and threaten my physical being to accept this idea that you say come from the divine, that automatically states that you don't even know the divine power in the universe. It says it ain't nothing but about you and what you want to take from me or how you want to use or abuse me. And so I am not cutting any corners. I'm laying the axe to the tree. I'm after all of them. I'll get to that in a minute. When hopefully I'll get to that thing on religion. But one of the things that I can't stand about religion is it does the most dastardly thing in that it takes us from the direct contact of the Creator and puts a stumbling block in our path. When you were in your mother's womb, the Holy of Holies, nobody had to tell you anything about any religion. You already had a consciousness of the divine power in the universe. When you cried in the world, you cried giving praise for life to that power and that force. And then people came and hit you with religion, and you've been confused ever since. When you came out of your mother's womb originally in your original state of Africa, you would have never drew blood from another African behind no religious doctrine or dogma. It's only after you got brainwashed, and all of us have been brainwashed, bleached. Some African-centered realities about God, the Bible, religion, the devil, death, and resurrection. The global influence of white supremacy has purposefully programmed and conditioned Africans and other peoples of color over whom it has exercised any degree of control to accept these words, these few terms I just mentioned here, and concepts as holy and divine, and they are not. I'm going to demonstrate to you why they are not tonight. You say any one of these words, and Africans can get all confused. I've seen Africans be in debate with white people because there is no white man on the planet. I say no white person on the planet smarter than any African. I don't care if that African never made it through the first grade. And that's real. You might not understand the scientific significance of that right now, but if you contemplate it and you study it, you will find that out. And I'm going to share some things with you as I go on tonight. Y'all all right? Yes. When an African is standing on his own 2 feet, standing on his African soul, even though he's not aware of what that is, and he's debating from that perspective, that unique logic that Africans have, that cosmic consciousness that's with them all the time, they be whipping the dog mess out of white boys. And when them crackers get backed up against the wall, the first code word they come back with is, what about God? Or the Bible says, and we start stuttering, blah, 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 blah. Brother and sister could have been rapping, rubbing it down 6 ways from Sunday, but the moment he hit us with, what about God? And the Bible says, every time he mentions one of the words, we get beat down more and more. That's why we got to deal with these terminologies. I've told you many times, Dr. Chancellor Williams, whom I had the privilege of literally sitting at his feet, always taught me that one of the most important pursuits, Barashango, you must take is the study of linguistics. Because the white man has used his rhetorical ethic to control our minds and to camouflage his devilish ways. What he's doing. Yeah, he told me that. Therefore, the major objective of this lecture is to help us deprogram ourselves. I can't deprogram you. This is something you got to do on your own. And a lot of the things that we say, it hurts your head. You be wanting to run out screaming. But you'll never be the same again. When you leave here and you drop the seed on somebody else, Negroes be running from you in all kinds of directions. But don't let that frustrate you. Once you drop a seed in a Negro mind, that mind is never exactly the same. Remember, we didn't come into this overnight. Somebody was dropping seeds on us. And that's what we have to do. We have to drop the seed. What the young folks say, kicking the knowledge. You kick the knowledge and go on about your business. Don't worry about how it's going to work out. That's not your business. That's between that person and their divine creator in the universe. You did what you were supposed to do, and that is expose them to the information that has been kept from us for so long. You all right?
Yes, sir.
So we got to deprogram ourselves. Everybody programmed up in here. We all robots and trained monkeys. Dr. Clark talks about them cocktail degrees. If you got your degree from white folks, you are a trained monkey, me included. So degrees I got from white folks, I was not educated because white folks cannot educate black folks. They can only train them. The word educate is used in the English language, has its Latin root educa, which means to bring out the best in a person. The information you get is supposed to bring out the best in you so that you can help enhance the quality of life for those around you. If you got these degrees and you're not doing that, you're not educated. You're a trained monkey. I wasn't educated until I became African-centered. The only degrees that matter to me are not the ones that were given to me in European institutions, and I'm glad that I have an honorary doctorate given to me by African-centered scholars that holds far more weight than any white institution or any collective of so-called white scholars could have given me. Because it bears witness that I possess more knowledge than any white scholar that I come in contact with. And I've proven it by kicking on many of their ass in the debate. Not because I'm so bad, but because my Africanness is bad and I've been taught by some of the baddest Africans on the planet. And then last year they took me to the city of Wasset, where the first degrees were issued. And there they took me through the rituals and put the blindfold on and everything, and they raised me up for having been teaching, writing, researching, and studying at that time for 44 years, now 45. And they say at 40 years you're supposed to enter into the level. See, I thought PhD was as far as you could go. That's in the white man's world. In the African world, after 40 years, you become a grandmaster. You got a lot of grandmasters sitting around in here. PhD don't hold no weight to you. You got elders in here that's from the Garvey days that's been studying and teaching. They're grandmasters. And they took me and they bestowed on me the honor of a grandmaster teacher. When I took off, they took off the blindfold. There stood the obelisk of Hatshepsut. And looked at me dead in the eye was a huge statue of Ramesu II to remind me of what had been done as I looked down the row of the Avenue of Sphinxes. So those are the degrees I'm proud of. If I never get another honor in life, that's all right. I got it now. I can really say I got it going on. And when I say that, I don't say that just for me. I feel that way about us as a people. I've often said that probably the most informed Africans on planet Earth are the Africans at UAM. Wherever I travel, I have never seen a bunch of Africans who have been as exposed to as much information from so many sources as you have. What you have been exposed to is tantamount to at least 7, just to say the least, PhDs. Everybody in here has that status that has been attending these lectures all this time. I say that, and I didn't mean to go there, but the ancestors in the spirit are telling me to tell this to you and help to bring this back to your awareness so that you will know that your enemy is the puniest, dumbest thing on the planet. And the only way he can keep you under control is to keep you ignorant to your own intellectual power, to your own cosmic and spiritual brain power that you possess as a people. Now, let's get on into this topic. Let's get with this now. Let's first of all begin with this word God. This is a word you need to throw out of your vocabulary, because it is in fact a word dog spelled back. Look, I'm doing all the work. Spell the word backwards for me. Now, how did that happen? How did that happen? You out, oh God, oh God. No wonder your prayer's not getting through. Sometimes the Creator have mercy on our dumb, ignorant behinds. But you use that term after the night. Those of you who have heard that say, y'all, people don't like me. As they say, you come in and take everything away from us. Our holidays, our everything. Yeah, I'm trying to clean out all the madness so ain't nothing left but your naked soul before the universe. Then you'll be free. Then you'll be free. But we'll get back to that in a minute. When we consider that people tend to choose and name their deities, that which they worship, on the basis of what it can do or what they think it can do for them. And the fact that the dog is the white man's best friend, I did not say that. White people said that. Have you ever heard white people say, dogs are people too, you know? Have you ever heard that? How many in here have heard that? Bear witness to that. Now you know you're dealing with something strange when they tell you that a canine is a human. You know you're not dealing with a human being. Yes, I contend as a paleoanthropologist, a bona fide paleoanthropologist, that is a study of the origin and development of ancient humanity, that Caucasoid people do not fit into the Homo sapiens sapiens species of which we are supposed to be a part. They have too many characteristic differences from all other humans around them. They fit in the category, and they told you, mankind. Not human, but mankind. Look like a man, favor a man, but damn sure don't act like now one. No, just look at their history. As I told you before, I got degrees in their history first. So I know them better than they know themselves. You take any animal species or any genus that's called in the family of which you have many different species. And in that genus, if there's more than 2 or 3 different taxonomic principles, that is characteristics between one group and another, it's a separate and distinct species. The difference between white people and other people of color, and particularly between African people, may be up to about 100. So we're not even clever. So you get that out of your head. We're all human. You gotta act human to be human. But there's Africans that act, and I heard somebody saying that when I was in the restroom, and I ain't trying to bust on you, I love you, but listen, I have a job as an elder and a scholar among these people, correct? Stop talking about they act worse than white people. There is no African on earth that can act worse than white people. That means you don't know the history of white people. They can act bad now. They can get real mean as a result of having been infected by white people. When we were fighting each other before white people got there, nowhere near the scale or level that we function on at this time. There have always been some bad, and we had corrective mechanisms for that. We didn't fool around. You mess around and endanger the community, noontime execution was all over. Well, no, they need to go to the insane asylum. No, you hurt this community, you need to go to rest. And that minimized the evil and crime. As Dr. Clark, his state peace be upon him, his president must be here very strong tonight, used to say there weren't no jails when Europeans came to our land because we didn't need any. Also, there were no orphanages because nobody threw away any children. There was no old folks' home for nobody abandoned their elders. The white man's best friend, who used to guard their caves and flesh food for them, became a symbol of their deity and was their original totem. I can't go into all this tonight. Get that tape back there. When you pray, be careful of the name you're calling on there. It deals with this whole God concept. When I was in England doing a series of lectures, a Christian brother who's in the movement, but he's having a hard time breaking with the myth. And he said, can you tell me in the dictionary, or can you tell me any encyclopedia I can go to where it states that the word God is translated directly from the word God? I said, no, I can't. And he got a broad smile on his face. Say, I got him. And he was getting ready to sit down. I said, oh, wait 1 minute, we're not finished. But this I can tell you. I can tell you this, that the first symbolic deity of European people was the wolf. They say that in their history. The Germanics, from which come all of the other Europeans, the Indo-Europeans, worship the wolf. How do I know they worship the wolf? Today, in their God capital, the capital of Christendom, where, as Dr. Benton said, the little faggot with the cap on resides, the Pope of Rome resides, stands a huge cast-iron statue of a she-wolf, Lupia, and two little white boys, babies, suckling her breast. That's their mama, and that is their God. Romulus and Remus, the founders, they say, of the city of Rome. And every Lupercalia, which you call Valentine's Day, I didn't mean to get in these holidays, they can say I'm gonna mess with these. I ain't gonna mess with these Negro holidays, they ain't gonna buy no shade. They would get buck naked, sacrifice wolves, cover themselves in the bloody skin, and go through the city with the entrails, the bloody entrails of the wolf, and beat the women and to purify them, and to chase sin out of the city, which is an impossible task. You can't change sin out of white folks' city. And they would come to a woman with a piece of paper with her name on it and give it to her, and that woman was compelled to go lay down with this nasty, stinking, bloody, wolfskin wearing cracker in an orgy. In celebration to Lupercalia. And that's where the whole idea of Be My Valentine came from. But they didn't ask no question. They gave a command. He could have been ugly, hunchback, his ding-dong dripping with syphilis and gonorrhea. But she still had to go with it. When you're dealing with white folks, you're dealing with the fact that European culture is a canine-centered culture. Y'all be talking about, I'm the first black person that live in it. I don't want to live around here with all them dogs messing all over everywhere. They can't live without them dogs. That's their parent. That's their God. Lick them in the mouth, sleep with them, and do a whole lot of other things with them. Now, this word God, as used in the Old Testament, and let me say this, I'm not bragging, but you have to qualify yourself with African people. You got to qualify yourself, but we get so arrogant in our ignorance. I can tell you what's in the Bible and what is correct and what is not correct because I have read it from cover to cover at least 7 times. I stopped counting after a point. I not only read it in the most corrupt and degenerate language on the planet, which is English. When I was in the seminary, I had to translate it from the Greek and from the Hebrew and from some of the other African languages that most people didn't even know it had come out of. And the word God, whenever you see the big G-O-D, whenever you see it in the Old Testament, or it is translated directly or mistranslated directly from the Hebrew terminology Elohim, which is a plural and refers to male and female energy, which is the way that all people in the ancient world thought about the divine force in the universe. They say you can't create nothing even on a spiritual level unless you have an interplay between male and female energies, for the physical is merely a reflection of the spirit, and vice versa. The white man is the first one to come along with this masturbating Father God who had a son and did everything by himself. And you love that, oh, Father God, Father God, Father God, hear us, Father God. That's because a lot of us didn't have our fathers in our lives, so we're trying to replace it with this fool. When I told a man about the Italians and Lupercalia and the founding of Rome, he said, "Isn't that Germanics?" I say, "See, you're speaking without knowledge. The Burundi and the Burgundy and the Heruli were Germanic tribes that settled in the boot of Italy. But then how do you know it's dog spelled backwards? Why would it be that way? Because if you want to know white folks, and I'm going to give you a key now, I'm going to make you a master psychologist. You're going to be able to whip any psychoanalyst when you walk out this door. Any European psychoanalyst. You don't have to read Freud or Jung or any of them. That'll mess your mind up. Leave it alone. If you're not reading Akbar or Welsing or Ani or somebody like that, you better leave that alone. Wade Nobles, Amos Wilson, somebody, that's it. But to know white folks, 2 things you must observe constantly. 3. 1 is their fairy tales. They will tell you everything you need to know about them and what motivates them in their fairy tales. The next thing is their fairy tales have been extended into their media. I'm an ardent watcher of movies. My children, when they were little, we used to have movie night on Saturday night. We'd get a stack of videos. My daughter worked at a video store, so hey, popcorn and some goodies. But when we watched it, I decoded. In fact, they used to hate to watch a movie with me. They say, "We know that, Daddy. We know. Can we just watch a movie?" Can't we just watch a movie for the movie's sake? No, because don't you see what they just did to you? They just had this white man hugging on, feeling all over this black woman over there in the corner at that little party. And you focusing on this over here, can't you see what they're doing to you? You must decode the symbols, and that's why I'm dealing with this language that they use in religions today, to help decode the symbols. That is the key. Once you get in the decoding process, it becomes addictive. It does. It's hard to be at peace in this land, because everything you see, yes, that's exactly what it is. And you learn to get out of the way before it splashes on you. But they say in Alice in Wonderland, which is one of their classes, one of their best. Alice in Wonderland, they say once you get here, everything goes backwards. Doesn't it say that? Correct me if I'm wrong. Everything we say backwards. I said, the white man just done told me how he does things. The opposite of the way everybody else does. His thinking is opposite. That's why I doubt his place in the human species. Because it's the opposite. In my book, African People and European Holidays of Mental Genocide, book 2, I talk about what my students dub the Barashango theory of irreconcilable opposites. What's good for the white man is always bad for us. Always. Sometimes we get a little good out of it in spite of. That's because of our creativity. Because some people say, well, my mama was a Christian and my wife wasn't there. I said, what they did, they also took chitlins, they took hog guts, garbage, and made a delicacy out of it. Because they didn't have nothing else. So they used whatever was before them to the best of their ability at the time. Now that we know what hog guts will do to you, we got any sense, we won't eat them no more. But we didn't have anything else that we had to deal with. So whatever's good for them is bad for us, and whatever is good for us is considered to be bad by them. The very idea of us wanting to teach our children from an African-centered frame of reference and their true story is considered to be dangerous by white folks. Now, if they meant you any good at all, they would have no trouble with you knowing your true story. Because they know once you know the true story of humanity, they don't fit anywhere in the damn picture. Nowhere. When they appear on the scene, they appear acting like animals, not like humans. And even though they have adopted some human characteristics that we taught them, they still act like animals. Y'all all right? Let me finish up with this word God now, because I got some other stuff I need to share with you. But the Bible itself gives you a clue about where the word God, how it came into corruption. I couldn't figure out how they could translate the word Elohim, which means the strong ones, Mother, Father, Energy. How does it translate to English into God? There's no logical line of delineation in that translation. Except when I check this out. In Matthew 19, 16 and 17, it says, there is none good but one, that is God. I said, oh, there it is. They took the word good, took a zero out, and adapted the word God, which is the word dog spelled backwards, the original deity. They knew exactly what they were doing. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us what? Masters of technology. In the Living Bible version of the same text, it says, this is supposed to be Yeshua ben Yosef speaking. Jerusalem Slim, not Jesus, because you know wasn't nobody around named Jesus, but I ain't even going there now. Get the tape. A black revolutionary called Jesus, and what's the other one? The real Jesus was a black man. I got a lot of stuff on Jesus back there. The real Jesus. Hey, Dr. J, live forever. Forever. The word good, or this word that they got good, comes from the word ma'at. Check it out. Follow me now. Ma'at, one of the great spiritual principles taught by our ancestors, always was, always is, always will be. Ma'at, absolute balance, truth, justice, reciprocity, that which is real, the foundation upon which everything else in the universe is built upon. Female energy. That's why I got to have a sister. Got to have a sister. I may love you, I may even tolerate you for a minute and try to get you some help, but I will never accept your behavior because it's totally illogical. Once you have been in heaven, and Dr. Ben taught us where heaven was, between the legs of a black woman, and I can testify to that. Testify to it. It's all on the temples and cabinet shows. Knew it, giving birth to life, heaven, the stars, everything in her body. Now, once you done had that, how you going to stick your thing in a sewer? I ain't mean to go there, but that's what I was told to do. Here's a white boy now trying to understand that and explain that which is inexplicable for him. Henri of Frankfurt, in his book Egyptian Religion, page 63, says, Ma'at is good and its worth is lasting. He said that's what the ancient text of the African says. Ma'at is of advantage and its utility lasts. Another quote from the ancient text. But the white boy goes on to say, the word ak, A-K-H, which is translated to be good or to be of advantage, possesses, according to the dictionary, an unclear definition. Now, it was clear to the Africans who came up with the term what it meant, but this white boy said it is unclear to us. He said, in the case of Ma'at, I want you to listen very carefully, and maybe you'll stop with these fruitless efforts of trying to win white folks over and appeal to some kind of fantastic mythological morality in them. In the case of Ma'at, a concept which is totally, which is what? This is a white man speaking to you now. Totally alien. What does alien mean, brothers and sisters? Ain't got diddly squat to do with me. And I ain't got nothing to do with it. Boy, nothing makes it clearer than Ebonics or New Africanese. Nothing. Totally alien to contemporary thought. That means European thought. And which therefore cannot be matched by any modern term. White man said, we don't even have a word in our language to begin to define what these niggas were talking about when they said Ma'at. Not only can't we live it, we can't even define it. We don't know what it is. He says, ak seems to be untranslatable. Did he just tell on himself? Did he just tell on himself? Thank you, Dr. Williams. Linguistics. Go to the study of words. So this good, from which he took an O and made God, he didn't even understand it, so all he could relate it to was the level of his comprehension, which was his dog. There's a lot more I'd like to share with you on this, but you're going to have to get the tape. I got to move on. Now I think it's time for me to deal with religion. I was going to deal with the Bible, but you get the tape, How to Find Black History in the Bible. The Bible is the Word of God or the work of man. Great black women in the Bible, African warriors in the Bible. I got a whole lot of Bible stuff back there for you. which demonstrates that it's originally an African history book, which I've told you so many times, that have been corrupted by white folk. The principles that are in there are found in all the ancient writings of African people. And if you don't use it like Nat Turner, Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and every other freedom fighter, then you need to leave it alone. But it's the word of God. Word of the dog. It must be, because it's backwards. Full of contradiction in its present state. They didn't understand what they were translating. And white scholars have admitted that. And they put their own limited concepts about things to it. We must get away from religion and get into spirituality. I hope I can deal with that later on. We must get in harmony with the universe. Mutnetchet, not Mother Nature. Mutnetchet, as they call it in the Nile Valley, or the Happy Valley. You get in harmony with Mutnetchet, she'll show you what's going on. She said, I'm mad, I'm getting ready to pee on white folks. It's going to be a typhoon. Get out of the way, because I'm going to pee all over. Now, if you stay in tune with Mutnetchet, she'll tell you what she going to do. And every now and then she do. She let one of them Miss Rudolph peas on her. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I believe I want to read next. I'm trying to sort my stuff out here for you. I think I better go on and read this, y'all. I'm trying to cut my time down here, but I need Diop a minute. I need Diop to help me. Can I call him and help me out here? Help me out, Elder. Help me out. In his book, and I have all this on my tapes, these quotes and everything, African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality, page 112 to 113, he said, throughout the entire Aegean epoch, talking about religion now, black influence preceded that of the Indo-European. We're going to be talking about those Indo-Europeans in a minute. All the populations on the periphery of the Mediterranean at the time were black and Africoid. Egyptians, Phoenicians, and what whites there were came under the economic, and what whites there were. What few there were there came under the economic and cultural Egypto-Phoenician influence. Because of the requirements of agricultural life, concepts such as matriarchy and totemism, the most perfect social organization, and others were born. By contrast, by what? We're all the same under the skin. BS. Get that out of your head. By deep of material conditions were to create instincts necessary for survival in such an environment. In a tropical environment, there was plenty. In the icebox that Dr. Clark talks about, there was nothing. As he demonstrates the fact that while we were building pyramids and a whole bunch of other things, they didn't have a pair of shoes or a house, a pair of drawers. And damn sure didn't take no baths. The Scythians, who's the great-granddaddy of them all, used to clean himself. The only way they could get him to clean himself is to burn hemp. And he would take a smoke bath, and the only way they could get him to do that is because when you breathed in the hemp, you got high. He had to get effed up to take a bath. You couldn't keep Africans away from water. Africans can't stand to get dirty and sticky. When your flesh starts sticking to you, you got to find you some water. African will go jump, I don't care how cold it is, he gets sticky and jump right in the river. Pow! I got to slay my cooties. Here nature left no illusion of kindliness. It was implacable and permitted no negligence. Man must obtain his bread by the sweat of his brow. Where'd you hear that before? Above all, in the course of a long, painful existence, he must learn to rely on himself alone and on his own possibilities. That's where rugged individualism comes from. Africans knew, before their minds were damaged, that it is impossible for one person to survive and to thrive. You know how they knew that? That goes back over 3.5 million years ago, because everything around Tanzania man 1, everything around him was bigger than him. You had rhinoceri who had something like 1,000 pounds, lions 800 pounds, mastodon elephant 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. Everything was faster and bigger and stronger. So how did he survive and thrive and become victorious? And we have this proliferation of 2 or 3 billion Africans on the planet today. How did that happen? Somebody help me. You know, unity, collectivity. There was no other way to do it. You know, no other way to do it. You can go out there hunting by yourself if you want to. You go out there looking for breakfast, you're going to be breakfast. It took collectivity, working together, which is the soul of Africa. When we act contrary to that, we get totally insane. You take us out of a collective thing and we get selfish and materialistic and we just get plain crazy. Just like the enemy. And get like them. When the material and the physical things don't help, then you just go off and escape into some freaky stuff. Because life just done got boring for you. I won't be much longer. I see y'all looking at your watch. Let me run it down. He could not indulge in the luxury of believing in a beneficent God. White people never. He got this God that will burn you. In fact, he threatened to burn you through all eternity. And if you don't bring him a blood sacrifice, in fact, he got so bad he sacrificed his own son. That's the only way he could be appeased. Get that tape back there, the white man's God, homicidal maniac is what the name of it is. In the Bible, what did he tell you? Go down, wipe out everything. Man, woman, children, everything. Kill everything that piss against the wall. That's what it says in 2 Samuel. The man up there cussing is in the Bible. And in the Bible is all right, huh? He could not indulge in the luxury of believing in a beneficent God who would shower down abundant means of gaining a livelihood. Instead, he would conjure up deities, maleficent and cruel, jealous and spiteful, Zeus, Yahweh, among others. Man in those regions long remained a nomad. He was cruel, so his God is cruel. His idea, that's why he can go and do anything to anybody, anywhere, at any time, and it's all right, because he's doing it in the name of his God. His God told him to do it. And you say, it's God's will. I've even had people say, if it wasn't God's will, we'd have never been in slavery. Fool, you are in this condition because somewhere your ancestors went against the laws of the universe and disobeyed the warnings and would not heed the warning. Every time the devil came, there was a warning. He was coming. And you opened up your door. Come in, blue-eyed soul brother. Once again, Dr. Clark said he came as a guest and stayed as a conqueror. Slew the host and raped the cook. Another white man, Michael Bradley, an Iceman inheritance. Western philosophy. We're talking about religion now. Western philosophy. He said, well, you're talking about religion. Why you got this word philosophy? You go in any library, if you want to find any book on any religion, what department do you have to go to? So they're one and the same. Philosopher meaning a people's worldview, their outlook. Western philosophy, that is Caucasoid philosophy, is inapplicable. Help me, is what? What does that mean? Does not apply. Inapplicable irrelevant and unsatisfying to non-Caucasoids. Anything that white folks ever told us or taught us will never be satisfying to us. Never. And we'll never be in our right mind as long as we try to align ourselves with it. It was, again, I have to say this. I sat outside of a church one day and I watched the people. I picked one of the most downtrodden neighborhoods I could go in among our people. And I sat outside and I watched them. This big edifice that they had spent all this money on with this white image up in it. They ain't even give themselves credit for building it. And I watched them come out of that church after hollering and shouting and thanking the Lord for all he's done for me. He woke me up this morning. He woke up the roaches that I used to have to live with as a child. He woke up the rats that I had to, so that ain't nothing about the goodness of the Lord. The goodness of the Lord doesn't mean anything if it hadn't done anything for me. But he woke me up this morning and set me on my way. Yeah, so you can serve white folks for another day. And I must be careful to mention here, no, I am not denying the power and the goodness of the divine mind and the creator in the universe. But that goodness is based on our understanding of that goodness and how we apply it in our daily lives. There. So I want you to understand that. Just like food, we can use it to enhance and give health to the body, or we can use it to poison the body. Most often we use it to poison it in this system. And I watch them come out of there after all this shouting and everything, with their heads hung, going back in the same condition. And the next week come back, haven't changed anything. Something's wrong with that. Something wrong with that. Or are you speaking against the black church in its present condition? I damn sure am. Originally, the black church was our best friend. It was those meetings that we used to have at those fish fries when they thought we was talking about Jesus, when we were planning to get off that plantation. That was our best friend. Those churches that set up schools and helped to set us up in business when we came off of the old plantation, we're on the new one now, was our best friend. The white man caught on to what was happening. You don't have any more preachers like Dr. King and them people, them preachers used to be down south. You don't have any more preachers like Adam Clayton Powell and like that. You just don't have that. He's a collaborator with the enemy. Even prays for the hand of the enemy to be strengthened. It was developed, it's talking about white religion now, white folks' religion and philosophy, to cope with that's talking about white people, uniquely. What does unique mean? Right there, that shows you they're different. This white man is telling you we're different from everybody else. You won't accept this from us African-centered scholars. Maybe you will accept it from a white. One just told you that we don't even understand what y'all talking about when you say good. We don't even understand what you're talking about when you say the principles of ma'at and spiritual doing right and all that. We don't understand that. And another one is telling you we are uniquely dualistic. Say, in other words, we will say one thing and do another. You can never rely on anything we say. Intellectual conflicts, and it doesn't even do that very well. They say it don't even do nothing for them. We have, talking about white folks, prescribed a dubious, help me with that word, dubious, thank you, tonic for people who don't even share our disorder. Your child have a problem and you go take them to some damn white psychologist or some Negro that's been trained in Freudian psychology. What they gonna do for you? The psychologists have to see psychologists. That's how sick they are. a uniquely aggressive creature. God, I love the language in this. Well, you know, black folks have fought each other. They enslaved each other. The red man enslaved each other. Nobody has done this like you. You are unique in this. Dude, I'm going to try him if I have to. We work that out. If you punch me, you ain't got nothing to do with him punching me in my mouth. I got to deal with you because you did it. Don't tell me he punched you in your mouth too. And that's supposed to stop me from kicking your behind. And black folks buy that. Yeah, Africans are mistreated. Africans treat each other so bad. And that keeps you from having to stand up to the white man, because when you recognize him for what he is, you got to stand up and realize this is my enemy. This is not my friend. Which means I'm going to have to go to war with this sucker. And you're afraid of him because you think he's God. He is. But I don't believe in God. I don't worship God. I believe in the Creator, the divine mind and universe, the Great Spirit. Now, if he can whip that, he can have me. But he can shoot you. What that mean? So my body. So what? He done took my body. But you can't do nothing with this soul, this spirit, this mind. In fact, I'm more dangerous then than ever. Khaled is all over his ass. Because he's everywhere. His energies and his particles are spread all over everywhere. Garvey been kicking his butt every day since. You got to understand the cosmic science of that and how real that is. He said a uniquely aggressive creature shivered beside his cave fire during the last Galatian, a uniquely alienated creature, a creature uniquely conscious of physical differences among people and distrustful of these differences, afraid of everything and everyone, even his own woman. I ain't even going into that no more. It's about time for me to start wrapping this up now. I'm going to try to tell let me do this, and then I'm going to try to tell my story. I'm starting to lose people, but if y'all got to go, stop at the table and get your tapes. Make your investment in African-centered scholarship. Take it home with you. Listen to it while you're sleeping. I know I got you. I know we got you. I'm reading now from Ancient Future by Wayne Chandler. Wayne is wild, right? I'm reading page 217. We're talking about here European religion. Like I said, I can't even get into the devil and death and resurrection and all that tonight, but I had to deal with God. And I definitely have to deal with religion because we all suffer religious persecution. Most religions keep us through intimidation. As Brother Alton just said, we're scared to die. When Africans had no concept of death before invaders came. So it wasn't nothing to be afraid of. We came into this world from the spirit, we returned back to the spirit. Was you afraid to be born? Well, why are you afraid for the last rite of passage? We do not, and stop talking about death, stop having funerals. African spirit doesn't die, it makes transition. Last rite of passage. You celebrate the life of the person. Yes, you're going to be sad. That's the African nature. We're that way. You're going to miss touching that person, especially if it was your soulmate and they had some good stuff. You're going to miss that. That's something to cry about. You hate to think about all the trial and error you got to go through to find some more good stuff like that. Let's make it real. And what did they be saying? I'm going to be bad with them. And especially if she's seen it before the undertaker or the embalmer got with it. Just the way I remember it. But anyway. Wayne Chandler says, The previous, you know I'm Dr. Penn's student, so you know I can't help myself. The previous examples are accurate historical accounts, given only to dramatize a point and gain clarity regarding our present condition. We'll never understand why we are the way we are if we don't understand how these white folks function and operate, and how they came to function that way, and how they gained power over us. They didn't gain power over us because they were smarter. They didn't gain power because they were braver. They didn't gain power because they were stronger. They didn't gain power because they were greater warriors. They gained power through deception. As Brother Malcolm said, they took advantage of our capacity to love and our humanity to want to welcome people. We couldn't imagine that anybody could be this way and stay this way. We have been able to cure everything else on earth. We've got to be able to cure this creature. And we paid a heavy price finding out he cannot be cured. The one that's always saying there's an incurable disease understands that, because his disease is incurable. Every other sickness on the planet Earth, Mutt Netched has an antidote for it. The reason why he can't find a cure is, first of all, he don't want one, because of the multi-trillion-dollar American Medical and every other medical association. He thrives off of cancer research, AIDS research. AIDS, the cure for AIDS has been known for many years. Dr. Sally has had 80 to 85% success in his treatment. Dr. Obel, 70 to 75. And if they had available to them the kind of resources and things that they need, they probably would have a 100% cure rate at this time. They don't want that. Indo-European culture. Indo-Europeans are the parents of all other Europeans. Compared with the older, more erudite cultures and civilizations of the world, that's the old ancient African civilizations, still has a great deal to learn. And I'm saying, Wayne, we cannot teach them anything. We tried. It cannot be done. They cannot learn. All they can do is warehouse information, but they can't learn nothing. They can't internalize it. And it is the task of everyone concerned to create the cultural balance that we at this time so desperately need. I'd have to address that to us, because I ain't even trying to do nothing for white folks. If we adhere to the redating of the Kemetic Sphinx, which should be called the Haram Hacket, to 10,000 BCE, which is the recent carbon dating, and the recent carbon dating of the Indus Valley to 7,000 BCE, and the historical mythos of West Asian civilization, which was black civilization, to around 5,000 BCE, most of the world's civilizations had reached their pinnacle and were in a state of decline when the Indo-European appeared on the historical stage. And when he came fighting everybody, attacking everything and everyone. As Farrakhan said, raping, robbing, murdering, everything in his path. Showed mercy on nothing and no one. They came as conquerors, taking the liberty to interpret the philosophical and spiritual traditions, not religious, spiritual traditions. Let me stop and deal with this word religion a minute. Can I just do that? From the Latin religare, as its root lig. Lig means to bind, to tie to. I don't want to be tied up by nothing. When you're in a religion, you're bound and tied down to something. And it usually is a cap it puts on your head to keep your intelligence from expanding, what they call orthodoxy. Negroes tell me, I'm an Orthodox Catholic. I'm an Orthodox this. I'm an Orthodox. I don't want to be an Orthodox Muslim. I'm an Orthodox Muslim. No! Because that means you done told me the limit of what I should think about, what I should question, and what I should know. And if I go any further, I have broke the religious law and sinned against the Lord. No, you haven't. You have sinned against the powers who control you through them religions. How come all the people on top in all these religions is making more money than everybody else? Have you ever asked yourself that? I mean, that's just a simple thing to look at. Very easy to look at. They came as conquerors, taking the liberty to interpret the philosophical and spiritual traditions of the cultures they destroyed as they so desired. It is ironic. Listen to this, please. I know you're getting tired, but I want you to listen to this. It is ironic that we sit at the feet of a culture historically reckless and morally undisciplined to learn the lessons of life, and that we are content with what is espoused as truth. Let me close by saying everything that the white man ever thought he taught us about or trained us or conditioned us to, because I say he's incapable of teaching us anything. Anything he ever mentioned to us, ever got us involved in, we have to reconsider, re-examine, and question, and then discard. That's horrific to us. That's frightening to us. Because then that means you got to use your brain all the time. You got to reinvent the wheel. But that's good, because all the knowledge that your ancestors possessed is somewhere programmed in your genes. And you have only to tap into that, and you will get it. Let me tell my closing story, and then I'm through. Well, you got, like I say, I got it all on the tapes back there. Buy one of each. Why y'all be pushing so hard, Steve Coakley and all y'all, for the self? Because if we don't do that, we don't have the money to do our research. We're not funded by anything or anybody but the people, which keeps us honest. You're going to need Kwanzaa gifts this year. I got them back there for you. They got the Transatlantic got some for you back there. Get plenty of them. Dealing with truth, because we like this word truth. It's the truth, brother! Just like Negroes tell me, in my opinion. Okay, let me hear what you got to say. Negro, you haven't expressed an opinion yet. You expressed what you heard on the 6 o'clock news and out of the newspaper. Not one word have you said come from an original thought, so you don't have no opinion. When you get one, then come discuss this with me. But until you get one, get out of my face. You're capable of having one, but you don't have one right now. What you express is not yours. The truth. How many black folks fall out with each other over what is truth? Even Christians, 300 and some different denominations of Christians, everybody got the truth. And some Christians don't even speak to other Christians because they don't follow the truth. Some Muslims don't speak to other Muslims, speak to Christians because they don't follow the truth. The word truth is used in the English language, comes from the Greek word, because they love the Bible quote. Sanctify them through that truth. Oh, that word is truth. The term truth, as used in the New Testament scripture, comes from the Greek aletheia, which means according to the facts. If you can't back it up, it ain't no truth. Just because you believe it or because you can say it pretty, don't make it so. The song said it ain't necessarily so. Well, there was a town one time, a little town of black folks, something like Rosewood, and one of those kind of towns there. And these black folks lived by the principles of Ma'at. They lived by truth. In fact, truth was their sheriff. It was a little western town. And every time Live would come at noon, time to have a gunfight with him, truth would blow him away. Fast on the draw. But Live would keep coming back. Live got tired of truth embarrassing him like that. Truth was very clean, you know. One day, Truth went down to the river outside of town, and he was out there taking a bath. And he left his clothes up on the banks. And Lie came by, and saw Truth clothes. He said, if I can't get over confronting him that way, I'm going to put his clothes on. And I can fool the people that way. So he put on Truth clothes, and he went to town. And everybody said, Truth is back. Speak to us, Truth. And Truth began to talk. And like with all things that white folks will say, they will start out with some fact, and then they will twist it on you. And he started out, and people said, wait a minute, something ain't right. Now, when he started, it sounded like Truth, but what he's saying now don't make sense. It just ain't working. But who here can challenge him? Only Truth can challenge him. And he must have killed Truth, because Truth ain't nowhere to be found. So they sent for a gunfighter who was very well known to come and deal with lie. By this time, they figured out he's lying Truth clothes. And that day, one day, a stagecoach pulled up. Big, tall, jet black, I mean city black, shining. Man with locks and his cowboy hat, cocked ace deuce, stepped off stagecoach with his shiny pearl-handled pistols, dropped his bag down, and on it was the initials, I am D Truth. And the showdown was on. Everybody said, we're going to get him now. And so it was noon time, and it was showdown at the OK Corral. And Lie and Truth squared off. When they drew, IMD Truth outdrew Lie, but Lie shot him in the shoulder. And when he went to get up, Lie shot him in the leg. And IMD Truth couldn't get a square bead on him, and the people said, we're going to lose. What are we going to do? And somebody who was standing in the crowd watching it all happened to turn around and look. And Truth had come up out the water, and when he saw his clothes was gone and Lie's clothes was there, he wasn't going to put them on. But he came running back to town, and somebody said, that might be IMD Truth, but we got it going on now. They said, why? Because here comes the naked Truth. Brothers and sisters, I am here today to deal with the naked truth.
Brothers and sisters, please let's get it up for Reverend Barashango, please. Please. Give it up for Reverend Barashango. Masterful tapes and wisdom. We're going to first do our African affirmation. Don't forget, brothers and sisters, our brother James Beatty needs some assistance over at the Cotton Club tonight. So anybody who is willing to go over and assist him, that would be helpful. We also would like you to know that that would be very helpful to the affair for tomorrow. So make sure that if you have the time to do that, please go